If you're on the fence about getting divorced, would now be the time that you wanted to make a choice, and why?
If alimony is a consideration in your case, I would say yes. So with the new tax law coming out, starting January of 2019, alimony is no longer going to be tax deductible to the payor. So at first glance, when you consider that, you think, well, the person receiving alimony no longer has to pay taxes on it, so this is a good thing. But if you delve deeper, it's not. The recipient of alimony most likely is at a low tax bracket because that's their only income if they're receiving alimony. So in a hypothetical, their tax bracket may be as low as 15%. The payor, if they have the ability to pay alimony to their spouse, is at a much higher tax bracket. So what was happening was the payor was able to pay a higher net amount because of the deductibility, making more available to the recipient. But now that tax burden has shifted to the payor, they no longer get a break. So for them to be able to afford alimony, it's going to be a lower amount, which means the recipient is going to get less.
So who in the world is winning in this if that's the case?
The only person that really seems to be winning is the government. They now get to tax a higher amount. Instead of only paying, only the recipient spouse having to pay taxes on the income, which is at a lower tax bracket, now the payor, who is at a much higher tax bracket, is having to pay taxes on that same alimony. So they're now paying the higher tax bill for the government. And what's occurring is actually there's less money to go around for the divorcing spouses.
Do you anticipate doing a higher number of divorces this year because of this?
I anticipate there's going to be races to the courthouse. There's going to be a lot of individuals who say, this doesn't make sense for either one of us. There's less money to go around, more money's going to the government. So let's either negotiate a deal or let's get before the judge prior to January of 2019.
Is there anything that you can do? So, okay, if you got divorced in 2005 or 2008, you're not going to be affected by this, or for that matter, 2018.
As long as you were divorced, your final judgment was entered, whether it be by consent or by a judge making the decision prior to December 31st of 2018, you still fall under the old tax law. And that also counts for cases that were finalized prior to 2019, but you're now going to be modifying them. Alimony is inherently modifiable if there's been substantial changes of circumstances. So if your case was finalized prior to January of 2019 and you're now modifying it in 2019 or 2020, you have to specifically state in the agreement that the alimony, as now modified, still falls under the old law that was in existence at the time of the original alimony award. If you don't put that in there, it's going to fall under the new tax law.
I mean, that's a great thing for people to know. Just your overall reaction to this, that it changed this dramatically, that they completely, flip-flopped it.
Yeah. I mean, my overall reaction is, other than the government benefiting, I think it's going to have a lot of drastic effects on both spouses in a divorce case. The biggest determination in alimony is the need of the recipient and the ability of the payor. And this decreases both of them to the sense that the only person who's getting more money is the government. And the fact that this went through, and honestly, I didn't even see it coming down the pike. Often whenever there's legislative proposals, there's email blasts going out saying this is going to be a new law. Urge your House representatives to vote for or against. I didn't see this one coming. I don't know who all did.